In this video, we're going to be covering the basics of the health, armor, and damage system. There are more intricacies to this, but we'll be covering those in a future video. To remove an enemy from the battlefield, you first must reduce their health pool down to 0. An enemy's health pool is represented by the red bar above their unit on the map. You will have a variety of special abilities, melee and ranged weapons at your disposal. As an enemy takes damage from these weapons or special abilities, their health will start to reduce. When it reaches 0, the enemy will be dead. With one of our soldiers selected, let's take aim at an enemy. We can now see the enemy's health bar along the top of the screen, with the enemy's total health displayed as a numerical value just to the left. The white chevrons on the health bar indicate the predicted damage. We'll talk more about that later, but for now, let's take a shot at this enemy and see what happens. As we are standing very close to this enemy, all of our rounds hit. We did a good amount of damage, but it wasn't enough to kill the enemy. You can see the health bar at the top of the screen shows that the enemy still has 16 of his hit points remaining. One more shot should be enough to finish him off.
We got him.
Different weapons in Phoenix Point fire either single projectiles or bursts of projectiles. Let's take our sniper with his sniper rifle as an example. Down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see information relating to the damage of this weapon. The 8 single chevrons show us that there are 8 rounds in the current magazine. To the right of that, the magazine icon represents the number of additional magazines that soldier is carrying in their inventory. Below those, we can see the name of the weapon, in this case the Firebird SR or Firebird Sniper Rifle, and to the left of that, we can see the damage numbers. This indicates that this weapon fires a single round, hence the ×1, and each round does 110 hit points of damage. With our assault soldier selected, we can see the details for the Ares AR-1 assault rifle. Here we can see 6 chevrons made of 6 smaller chevrons. This means that the current magazine has 6 available bursts and each burst fires 6 rounds. Below that we can see the numerical values for the damaged cores. In this case, 30 damage times 6 projectiles. The yellow shattered shield icon in between represents armor shredding. We'll talk more about that later. When you take aim at a target, the white chevrons on the enemy's health bar indicate the predicted damage for each round if they successfully hit the target. With our assault rifle, if all 6 shots connect, we're very likely to kill the target. Our sniper rifle only fires a single shot, so we can only see 1 white chevron on the enemy's health bar. However, as the maximum damage from this shot can be 110, and the enemy has 130 hit points, it's not going to be enough to kill it in a single shot, as was represented on the health bar. This is even more apparent with the sniper's weaker pistol that only fires a single projectile, dealing a maximum of 50 damage. You will see below the enemy's health bar that the current damage prediction is 30 to 50 times 1 shot, even though the weapon's damage is 50. This is because of the armor of the enemy, which we'll talk about a little later. We can see a similar prediction here with our assault rifle selected. Each shot will do 10 to 30 damage times 6 projectiles. With fire mode selected and an enemy targeted, we can move into free aim mode by zooming in with the mouse wheel. Now, using the mouse, we have free control over the aiming reticule and can select individual body parts of our target. Most enemies in Phoenix Point are made up of individual body parts that all have their own pool of hit points. These hit points can be seen beneath the name of the currently highlighted body part to the right hand side of the target. For example, the head of this Arthron has 40 hit points. The Arthron's leg has 60 hit points, and the Arthron's pincer has 50 hit points. Any damage done to an individual body part will also reduce the health of the hit target. If enough damage is applied to a single body part to reduce its health to 0, that body part will become disabled. Disabling a body part will reduce the maximum hit points an enemy can have. This will stop that enemy from being able to heal up to their maximum hit points, unless they have a way to restore that disabled body part. Also, each disabled body part applies a bleed effect to the target, which will cause damage every turn. If you can disable more than one body part on a single target, you can stack multiple bleed effects. And finally, disabling certain body parts can remove special abilities. Let's use the pincer as an example. The pincer is the Arthron's melee weapon. This allows him to attack us in melee range. If we disable his pincer, he won't be able to attack us with it. With enough damage applied, the right arm and pincer have now been disabled. This has reduced the health of the Arthron and also applied a bleed effect. The bleed effect status icon can be seen as the little blood drop below the enemy's health bar. The number to the right represents how much damage they take per turn while they have the bleed effect. If you continue to inflict damage against the disabled body part, it will still inflict damage to the enemy's total health, even if that body part is at 0.
Kill confirmed.
Let us now talk about armor. Most enemies in Phoenix Point will have at least some amount of armor. Armor is represented by the orange rectangles to the right of the enemy's health bar, along with the numerical value. The armor next to the health bar represents the average amount of armor across all of the enemy's individual body parts. In this case, the Arthron is showing an average armor of 14. Let us move into free aim mode and take an individual look at some of the body parts. With an individual body part targeted, we can see the armor value of that body part to the right of its health pool. In this instance, the head has an armor value of 10. The torso also has an armor value of 10. The legs have an armor value of 0. The carapace has an armor value of 20. And the shield has an armor value of 30. How does armor work? Well, for each projectile that hits the target, the armor value of that target is subtracted from the damage of the projectile. Any remaining damage is then applied to the target. For example, if we were to shoot this Arthron in the head using the Ares AR-1 assault rifle. The assault rifle fires 6 rounds that each do 30 damage per round. However, the head has an armor value of 10. If a 30 damage round hits the head with an armor value of 10, the 10 is subtracted from the damage of each round, meaning each round would only do 20 damage. If each of the 6 rounds hit and cause 20 damage, that would give us a total of 120 damage. This wouldn't be enough to kill the Arthron, who has a total hit point pool of 130. The carapace has an armor value of 20. If we were to shoot the Arthron in the carapace, we would have to remove 20 damage from the damage of each round. This means with a 6-round burst, we would be able to do a maximum of 60 damage, therefore only taking approximately half of the health away from the Arthron. That is represented by the 6 white chevrons along the health bar at the top of the screen. If we were to shoot the Arthron in the leg that has a 0 armor value, we would do the full 30 damage per round. Times 6 rounds, we would inflict 180 damage to the Arthron, which would be enough to kill it in a single burst. This is represented by the flashing red skull icon to the left of the Arthron's health pool. As mentioned previously, some weapons have an ability to shred or bypass armor. In the case of the Ares AR-1 assault rifle, this applies 1 shred per round that hits the target. Every projectile from our assault rifle that hits a body part with armor will remove 1 armor from that body part. This is represented by the flashing armor value to the right of that body part's health pool. For example, the carapace has 20 armor. If we successfully hit with all 6 rounds in a burst, we will remove 6 armor. That will bring the total armor of the carapace down to 14, which will make the damage inflicted on subsequent shots higher. All 6 of our shots connected, now reducing the carapace armor down to 14. If we were to hit the carapace with another 6 rounds, we would reduce the armor value down to 8. However, in this case, another 6 rounds would be enough to kill the Arthron, indicated by the flashing red skull icon to the left of the health bar. When fighting against enemies that have a high amount of armor, try using weapons which shred their armor, or use the free aim system to aim for body parts that aren't as heavily armored.